The massive doors of the Galactic Council headquarters slid open with a soft hiss. Ambassador Han-Ta straightened his dark blue uniform and took a deep breath. Behind him, Dr. Kim Sun adjusted her tablet computer, her fingers trembling slightly with excitement. This was humanity's first step into galactic society, and they couldn't afford any mistakes. The reception hall stretched before them, its crystal walls reflecting countless stars. Beings of various shapes and sizes moved about, some floating, others walking on multiple legs. The human delegation tried not to stare, but it was hard not to be amazed by the diversity of life forms around them. "Remember," Han-Ta whispered to his team, "we represent all of Earth today." Their escort, a shimmering holographic being, guided them through the crowd. Dr. Li Jin, the delegation's geneticist, recorded everything on her specialized equipment. Her dark eyes widened as she noticed patterns in the various species' biological signatures. As they approached the medical screening area, a tall, elegant figure caught their attention. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, with silvery skin that seemed to glow from within. Her long, flowing robes shifted colors like the surface of a soap bubble. "Welcome, Earth delegation," she spoke, her voice melodious and clear. "I am High Matriarch Rena of the Astra. We have awaited your arrival with great interest." Han-Ta bowed respectfully. "The honor is ours, High Matriarch. We bring greetings from Earth." The standard medical screening was mandatory for all new species entering the Council space. Dr. Li Jin watched as each member of their team stepped through the scanning arch. The machine hummed softly, collecting data about their biology. When it was Ambassador Han's turn, something unexpected happened. The scanning arch's lights changed from blue to bright purple. High Matriarch Rena's eyes widened, and she quickly moved closer to examine the readings. "Fascinating," she whispered, her fingers dancing over the control panel. "Simply fascinating." Dr. Kim Sun stepped forward, her scientific curiosity getting the better of her diplomatic training. "Is something wrong with our biology, High Matriarch?" Rena's smile was mysterious. "Wrong? No, Dr. Kim. Something is very, very right." She turned to her assistants and spoke rapidly in their musical language. The other Astrans became visibly excited, gathering around the scanning results. Dr. Li Jin noticed something odd about the Astrans. Despite their obvious technological advancement, there was a subtle sign of genetic decline in their cellular structure. Her specialized equipment picked up markers indicating a species in trouble. "High Matriarch," Li Jin spoke up, "my readings suggest your species might be experiencing some genetic difficulties. Would you be willing to discuss this?" The room fell silent. Rena's silver skin flickered with patterns of surprise and what might have been hope. "You can see that. Your scanning technology is more advanced than we expected." Ambassador Han shot a warning look at Li Jin, but the scientist in her couldn't stay quiet. "Our equipment is designed to detect genetic variations and potential problems. It's part of our medical research program." Rena moved closer to the human delegation, her presence both graceful and slightly intimidating. Perhaps this meeting was fated by the stars themselves. "We have much to discuss, children of Earth." The next few hours passed in a blur of medical tests and excited discussions. The Astrans revealed that their species had been fighting a losing battle against genetic degradation for centuries. Their advanced technology had kept them alive, but they were running out of solutions. But human DNA showed something unique, a natural resilience and adaptability that the Astrans had lost long ago. The medical scans revealed that human genetic material might hold the key to saving their species. As the day drew to a close, Ambassador Han sat in their assigned quarters, reviewing the events with his team. Dr. Kim Sun was busy analyzing the data they'd gathered, while Dr. Li Jin couldn't stop talking about the possibilities. "This could be the greatest scientific collaboration in human history," Li Jin said, her eyes bright with excitement. "Their genetic problem is fascinating, and we might actually be able to help them." Han-Ta rubbed his temples. "We need to be careful. This is more than just science. It's politics, ethics, and the future of two species we're talking about. As if to emphasize his point, a message arrived from High Matriarch Rena, requesting a private meeting the next day. The message hinted at a proposal that could change both their species forever. That night, none of the human delegation slept well. They had come to the Galactic Council, hoping to join the interstellar community as equals. Instead, they had stumbled upon something far more significant, a chance to save an advanced civilization from a slow extinction. As Dr. Li Jin stared out her window at the unfamiliar stars, she couldn't help but wonder what tomorrow would bring. The Astrans' interest in human biology went beyond simple scientific curiosity. There was something they weren't telling them yet, something that would soon change everything. The morning light from 3 distant suns filtered through the crystal walls of the conference room. Ambassador Hanta sat across from High Matriarch Rena, trying to process what she had just told him. Beside her stood Matron Mira, the Astrans' lead geneticist, her silver skin showing patterns of anxiety and hope. Complete extinction within 5 generations, Rena repeated softly. That is what we face without intervention. Our children are being born weaker with each passing cycle. Many do not survive their first year. Hanta's hands tightened around his cup of Astran tea. The liquid inside shimmered with bioluminescent properties, much like the Astrans themselves. This is devastating news, High Matriarch. But I'm still unclear about how humans fit into this situation. Matron Mira stepped forward, activating a holographic display between them. Complex DNA structures floated in the air, spinning slowly. Your species carries something remarkable, Ambassador. A genetic resilience we lost millennia ago. Dr. Kim Sun leaned forward, her scientific mind already racing with possibilities. The human DNA structure in the hologram showed unusual patterns she had never seen before. These markers, they're not in our medical databases, because they only become visible when compared to our genome, Mira explained. Your DNA contains natural repair mechanisms that ours has lost. More importantly, we've discovered that human genetic material is surprisingly compatible with ours. The implications hung heavy in the air. Hanta carefully set down his cup. Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting? Rena's skin rippled with colors of determination and hope. We propose a genetic partnership between our species. Voluntary, of course, and under strict scientific protocols. Dr. Kim Sun was already working on her tablet, running simulations with the new data. Her eyes widened as the results came in. The compatibility rates are extraordinary. This could actually work. But the social implications. Hanta began, but Matron Mira interrupted by displaying another hologram. This one showed successful preliminary tests using human genetic samples. We've already proven the concept in laboratory conditions, Mira explained. The combined DNA shows remarkable stability. The degradation stops completely, and in some cases reverses. The meeting continued for hours. More Astran scientists joined, bringing test results and data. Dr. Kim Sun worked alongside them, verifying every finding with human medical databases. The evidence was becoming impossible to ignore. Our people were once great explorers, Rena said, her voice filled with both pride and sadness. We built wonders across the galaxy. But now we can barely leave our home systems. Our children are too fragile. Hanta watched as Dr. Kim Sun excitedly discussed genetic markers with Matron Mira. The two scientists had forgotten all diplomatic protocol, speaking in rapid technical terms about DNA binding and genetic stability. What exactly would this partnership entail? Hanta asked carefully. Rena's skin shifted to a formal pattern. We would establish joint medical facilities. Everything would be voluntary, with full transparency. Both our peoples would benefit from the medical advances this cooperation would bring. And the actual process? Hanta felt uncomfortable asking, but it needed to be addressed. Advanced medical procedures, Mira quickly explained. Clean, clinical, and completely scientific. We're not barbarians. Ambassador, As they discussed details, more simulations ran on the floating displays. The potential benefits went beyond just saving the Astran species. The research could revolutionize human medicine as well. "We need to contact Earth," Han-Ta finally said. "This is far beyond my authority to decide." Rena nodded understanding. "Of course, we will prepare formal diplomatic proposals and all our research data. Your scientists on Earth should verify everything independently." Dr. Kim Sun looked up from her work with Mira. "Ambassador, the potential here is staggering. This could be the greatest medical advancement in human history." The meeting ended with both sides agreeing to open formal diplomatic channels. As they left the conference room, Han-Ta noticed how the other Astrans in the building watched them pass. Their skin patterns showed mixed emotions: hope, curiosity, and something that looked like desperate relief. Back in their quarters, Dr. Kim Sun couldn't stop reviewing the data. "Their genetic problem is cruel," she explained to Han-Ta. "They're born with incredible intelligence and technological skill, but their bodies are failing them. Each generation is weaker than the last." Han-Ta stared out at the alien cityscape. Earth's governments will never agree easily to this. The ethical debates alone could take years. "We might not have years," Kim Sun replied softly. "Did you see their birth statistics? They're losing children every day to genetic failures. They're dying, Ambassador." That night, as the three suns set in sequence, Han-Ta drafted the most important message of his career. "How do you tell Earth's governments that an advanced alien species needs human help to survive? How do you explain that saving them could change both species forever?" The message would go out tomorrow, traveling faster than light to Earth. And then the real challenges would begin. The United Council chamber in Geneva buzzed with tension. Hundreds of representatives from Earth's nations filled the historic hall, their voices mixing in a chorus of different languages. At the center podium, Ambassador Park Min gripped the edges of the wooden stand, his knuckles white. "We cannot simply agree to this proposal without considering the long-term consequences for humanity," he declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. "This is not just about medical procedures. This is about the future of our species." In the diplomatic gallery, Senior Matron Luna watched with growing confusion. Her silver skin flickered with patterns of frustration as she leaned toward her translator. "I don't understand their hesitation. We offer them advanced technology, medical breakthroughs, and a place of honor in the galactic community." Media screens worldwide carried the debate live. In her Seoul broadcasting studio, Kang Hai adjusted her earpiece as she reported to billions of viewers. "The debate continues into its third day," she said, her professional calm masking her own amazement at the situation. Protests have erupted in major cities, with some groups supporting the alliance and others demanding complete isolation from alien influence. Back in the chamber, Ambassador Park Min displayed holographic projections of potential genetic drift scenarios. What happens when these changes become permanent in our population? What happens to human identity, to human culture? Senior Matron Luna stood up, her tall form drawing all eyes. The chamber fell silent as she approached the central platform. "May I speak?" she asked, her translator converting her musical language into clear English. The council president nodded, and Luna took the stand. Her silver skin glowed under the bright lights. "I hear your fears," she began. "But you speak of human identity as if it were a fixed thing. Look around this room. I see hundreds of different cultures, languages, and appearances. Is this not human identity?" Screens worldwide showed crowds gathering in public squares to watch. In Times Square, thousands stood in the rain, their faces illuminated by the massive displays. In Beijing, families huddled around their devices, listening intently. In Mumbai, streets fell quiet as people stopped to hear Luna's words. "Your species achieved something remarkable," Luna continued. "You maintained genetic diversity while developing advanced civilization. My people chose technology over biology. We were wrong. Now we ask not to change you, but to learn from you." Kang Hai's voice carried over footage of the speech. The Astran representative's words appear to be having an impact. Social media analytics show a shift in public sentiment, though divisions remain deep. In the chamber, Ambassador Park Min raised his hand. And what of the children? The offspring of these procedures? What will they be? Human? Astran? Neither. Luna's skin rippled with colors of patience. They will be themselves, just as your children are themselves, carrying the genes of different human populations, yet being uniquely individual. Outside the United Council building, crowds had gathered. Some carried signs supporting the alliance, others protesting against it. Police kept the groups separated as reporters like Kang Hai moved among them, collecting opinions. It's our duty to help them, one young woman told Kang's camera. If we have something they need to survive, how can we refuse? But at what cost? An elderly man countered. We've only just reached the stars. Should we change ourselves so fundamentally? Inside, the debate continued. Scientists presented data, ethicists raised concerns, religious leaders offered perspectives. Through it all, Luna stood quietly, her skin showing patterns of both hope and worry. Kang Hai's report continued. Medical universities worldwide have begun analyzing the Astran research. Initial reports confirmed their findings about genetic compatibility and potential benefits to human medicine. As the day wore on, something unexpected happened. A young council member from Kenya stood up. My grandmother, she said, her voice clear and strong, used to tell me that humanity's greatest strength was not our technology or our intelligence, but our ability to change while remaining ourselves. Perhaps this is our chance to prove her right. The chamber erupted in discussion. Luna's skin showed patterns that her translator interpreted as deep emotion. Ambassador Park Min sat down, his expression thoughtful. That evening, Kang Hai summarized the day's events for her global audience. While no final decision has been reached, the United Council has agreed to form a joint human Astran research committee. Initial trials will be strictly voluntary and limited in scope. In her private chambers, Luna composed a message to her people. They fear change, she wrote, yet they face it with remarkable courage. Perhaps this is why their genes carry the strength we need. Ambassador Park Min, walking alone in the council building's garden that night, watched Earth's moon rise. The decision would shape humanity's future in ways they couldn't fully understand. Yet something Luna had said stuck with him, about humanity's greatest strength being its ability to adapt while maintaining its essential nature. The debate would continue, but the first step had been taken. As Kang Hai signed off her broadcast, she added a personal note. Today, humanity faced its first true test as a spacefaring species. How we proceed from here will define us not just on Earth, but throughout the galaxy. The research lab hummed with energy as Dr. Li Jin stared at the results on her screen. Her hands trembled as she double-checked the data. Beside her, Matron Mira's silver skin pulsed with patterns of excitement. Run it again, Li Jin whispered. We need to be absolutely certain. The holographic display showed a perfect fusion of human and Astran DNA strands, spinning slowly in the air between them. Unlike previous attempts, this combination showed no signs of degradation or instability. It's the enzyme, Mira said, her translator barely keeping up with her excited speech. The human protein combined with our synthetic compound. It's creating a perfect bridge between the species. Dr. Song Ta burst into the lab, clutching his tablet. The simulation results are in. 100% success rate across all virtual trials. His usually calm demeanor had given way to unbridled excitement. The breakthrough had come after 3 months of non-stop research. The joint human Astran team had worked around the clock, testing thousands of combinations. The key turned out to be surprisingly simple, a natural enzyme in human DNA that could be activated to accept Astran genetic material while maintaining the stability of both species. Dr. Namwu needs to see this immediately, Li Jin said, already sending the data to the ethics department. The development of proper guidelines had been running parallel to their research, ensuring they wouldn't repeat the mistakes of hasty scientific advancement. In his office, Dr. Nam Wu reviewed the new data with growing amazement. His role as lead ethicist had made him cautious, but even he couldn't deny the elegance of the solution. The process would be completely voluntary, reversible, and safe for both species. The preservation of individual traits is remarkable, he muttered, making notes. Neither species loses its essential characteristics. It's more like a bridge between two rivers than mixing them together. Back in the lab, Dr. Song Ta began drafting the medical protocols. The procedure would be simple enough: a series of treatments over 6 months, allowing the bodies of both species to adjust gradually. His hands moved quickly across the holographic interface as he documented each step. "We need to prepare for the first real trials," Mira said, her skin showing patterns of both excitement and nervousness. "Who will volunteer?" The answer came sooner than expected. Dr. Li Jin stood up from her workstation. "I will. I'll be the first human to undergo the procedure." The room fell silent. Even the machines seemed to quiet down. Dr. Song Ta looked up from his protocols with concern. "Jin, you don't have to." "Yes, I do," she interrupted. "We can't ask others to take risks we won't take ourselves. Besides, I understand the process better than anyone except Mira." The news spread quickly through the research facility. Dr. Nam Wu rushed down from his office, ethical guidelines in hand. "We need to document everything," he insisted. "Every step, every reaction, every thought and feeling. This will set the standard for all future procedures." Matron Mira's skin showed complex patterns of respect and gratitude. "Your courage honors us, Dr. Li Jin. I will personally oversee the procedure." The preparation took 2 weeks. Every piece of equipment was checked and rechecked. Dr. Song Ta refined the protocols until they were perfect. Dr. Nam Wu interviewed Li Jin extensively, establishing her mental state and voluntary consent. On the day of the first treatment, the lab was filled with both human and Astran medical staff. Li Jin lay on the medical bed, her heart rate steady on the monitors. Mira stood by her side, silver skin glowing with concentration. "Beginning Phase 1, Dr. Song Ta announced, activating the genetic transfer system. The room watched in tense silence as the first modified enzymes entered Li Jin's bloodstream. Hours passed. The monitors showed exactly what their research had predicted: perfect integration, no rejection, no adverse reactions. Li Jin remained conscious throughout, describing her sensations to Dr. Nam Wu's recording device. "I feel complete," she said after the first treatment. "Like finding a piece of myself I never knew was missing." The beauty of this process, she explained to a group of visiting scientists, is that it enhances rather than changes. We're not creating hybrids. We're allowing both species to reach their full potential while helping each other. In his final report, Dr. Nam Wu wrote, "This breakthrough represents more than scientific achievement. It shows that evolution itself can be a choice, a conscious decision to grow together rather than apart." The research team celebrated quietly that evening, human and Astran scientists together. They had done more than solve a genetic crisis. They had proven that different species could help each other evolve without losing themselves. As Li Jin sat with Mira, watching their colleagues celebrate, she touched her slightly glowing skin. "What happens now?" she asked. Mira's skin showed patterns of contentment. "Now we help both our species take the next step forward. Together." The medical bay of the Joint Species Research Center gleamed under soft lights as Choi Bin sat on the examination table. Medical Officer Nova moved around him with fluid grace, her silver skin showing patterns of professional focus. This was the beginning of the official pilot program, and everyone felt the weight of the moment. "Your vital signs are excellent," Nova said through her translator. "Are you feeling nervous?" Choi Bin smiled. "A little. But I'd wanted this since I first heard about Dr. Li Jin's success." Officer Yoon has stood nearby, taking notes. As cultural liaison, her job was to ensure perfect understanding between both species. Nova, in human culture, it's common to share personal motivation before important events. Would you like to hear why Choi Bin volunteered? Nova's skin rippled with interest. Yes, please. Understanding each other is crucial. I was a medical student when the Astrans first contacted us. Choi Bin explained as Nova prepared the treatment. I saw how both our species could help each other grow. It felt like destiny. The first treatment began smoothly. Unlike the early trials, the process had been refined to be almost comfortable. Choi Bin watched the genetic transfer solution flow through transparent tubes, glowing softly like liquid starlight. The first changes will be subtle, Nova explained, monitoring multiple holographic displays. You might notice increased sensitivity to light and sound within the first week. Yoon-hye recorded everything, paying special attention to the casual interactions between Choi Bin and Nova. The easy rapport between them was exactly what the program hoped to achieve on a larger scale. As weeks passed, unexpected benefits began to emerge. Choi Bin's night vision improved dramatically. His ability to perceive emotions became almost Astran-like in its sensitivity. Most surprisingly, his mind could process information faster than before. It's like having an internal computer, he told Yoon-hye during one of their daily interviews. I can analyze patterns I never noticed before. Nova found these developments fascinating. The genetic exchange is creating capabilities we didn't anticipate. It's not just fixing our problems, it's advancing both our species. Other volunteers began showing similar improvements. Some developed mild bioluminescence like the Astrans. Others found they could understand complex mathematical concepts more easily. The Astran participants reported increased physical endurance and stronger immune systems. Yoon-hye's reports became increasingly excited. The cultural exchange is happening naturally, she wrote. Volunteers from both species are forming deep friendships. They're learning each other's languages without translators, sharing meals, exchanging stories. One morning, something extraordinary happened. Choi Bin was reviewing medical data when he suddenly started speaking perfect Astran, without the translator. Nova's skin flashed with patterns of pure joy. The genetic integration must have enhanced your language centers, she said, switching off her translator to continue the conversation in her native tongue. News of this development spread quickly. Yoon-hye could barely keep up with all the implications. The boundaries between our species are becoming more fluid, she reported. Yet everyone maintains their distinct identity. The research center expanded to accommodate more volunteers. Humans and Astrans worked side by side, learning from each other. The medical bay where Choi Bin had started his journey now hosted dozens of participants. Watch this. Choi Bin demonstrated to a group of new volunteers, making his skin glow in complex patterns that matched Nova's emotional displays. We're not just sharing genes, we're sharing ways of being. Yoon-hye observed how the volunteers naturally grouped themselves into mixed species teams. The integration goes beyond biology, she noted. They're creating a new kind of community. Nova's research expanded to study these social changes. The genetic exchange seems to enhance our natural ability to understand each other, she explained during a staff meeting. It's as if we're developing a shared emotional language. 3 months into the program, the first children were born to Astran parents who had received human genetic material. They were stronger than typical Astran infants, their silver skin glowing with unprecedented vitality. Choi Bin, now fully integrated into the program, helped care for these babies. They represent everything we hoped for, he told Yoon-hye. Healthy, strong, and completely Astran, just better equipped to survive. The success of the pilot program attracted attention from across the galaxy. Other species began sending observers, curious about this unprecedented cooperation between two different forms of life. We're writing a new chapter in evolution, Nova said one evening, as she and Choi Bin reviewed the day's data. Not through competition, but through choice and cooperation. Yoon-hye's final report for the pilot phase concluded. What began as a medical necessity has become something far more profound. We're not just saving a species or advancing our capabilities. We're proving that the future of life in our galaxy doesn't have to be about survival of the fittest, but about helping each other thrive. As the pilot program prepared to expand into full implementation, Choi Bin stood with Nova and Yun-Ha, watching the twin suns set over the research center. His slightly glowing skin matched the colors of the sunset, while Nova's patterns showed deep contentment. "What comes next?" Yun-Ha asked, always thinking about the bigger picture. Choi Bin smiled, answering in perfect Astran. "We keep growing, learning, and proving that different species can do more than just coexist. We can help each other become better versions of ourselves." The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with excitement as Representative Kim Du took his seat for the first time. The curved table, designed to accommodate beings of all shapes and sizes, now included a permanent place for Earth. Around him, representatives from 100 different worlds watched with interest. High Matriarch Reyna stood to address the assembly, her silver skin glowing with pride. The success of the Astran-Human Alliance proves that cooperation between species can achieve what neither could do alone. Today, we welcome Earth as a full member of the Galactic Council. Ambassador Han watched from the diplomatic gallery, remembering the uncertain days when this all began. Now, human doctors worked alongside Astran healers throughout the galaxy, while Astran technology merged seamlessly with human innovation. Trade Minister Li Su hurried through the council's bustling corridors, her arms full of data tablets. The economic implications of Earth's new status had created opportunities nobody had imagined. She entered a meeting room where representatives from 12 different species waited to discuss trade agreements. The human ability to adapt, combined with Astran technical knowledge, has created unprecedented possibilities, Li Su explained, displaying holographic charts. Our joint medical programs alone have advanced healthcare across 20 star systems. In the medical wing of the council building, a team of human and Astran doctors demonstrated their latest breakthrough. Species that had once been incompatible with advanced medical treatments could now receive care, thanks to techniques developed through the Alliance. "This is beyond our highest expectations," Kim Du said during a private meeting with Ambassador Han. "We came to the stars hoping to learn. Instead, we've helped change the galaxy." The changes weren't just medical or technical. Cultural exchange programs flourished. Humans learned the intricate color language of the Astrans, while Astran artists became fascinated with human music and dance. Other species watched in amazement as two completely different civilizations found ways to enhance each other. Trade Minister Li Su's office became a hub of activity. "Every week brings new opportunities," she told her staff. "The Centaurians want our joint education programs. The Regellians are requesting medical training. Even the crystalline beings of Vega want to establish cultural exchanges." High Matriarch Rena and Ambassador Han frequently appeared together at galactic events, their partnership symbolizing the success of their alliance. Their speeches about cooperation and mutual growth inspired other species to reconsider their own isolated approaches to development. "We succeeded because we didn't try to change each other," Han explained to a group of diplomatic students. "We found ways to help each other become better versions of ourselves." The council chambers regularly filled with discussions about applying the human Astran model to other interspecies challenges. Representative Kim Du found himself mediating between species that had previously refused to cooperate. "Look at what we achieved," he would say, showing images of thriving Astran children and enhanced human communities. "We didn't lose ourselves by helping each other. We found new ways to grow." Trade Minister Li Su's predictions of economic growth proved modest compared to reality. Joint human Astran enterprises spread across the galaxy, bringing advanced medicine and technology to worlds that had been left behind by previous waves of development. "The key," she explained during a galactic economic forum, "is that we share everything we learn. Success for one becomes success for all." In the Council's research division, scientists from dozens of species worked together, applying the lessons learned from the human Astran success. Old barriers between species began to fall as new possibilities emerged. We're entering a new age of galactic civilization, High Matriarch Rena announced during a crucial council session. Not through conquest or competition, but through cooperation and mutual enhancement. Ambassador Han found himself remembering the early days of first contact, when everything seemed uncertain and dangerous. Now, human ships carried Astran medical teams to distant worlds, while Astran vessels housed human cultural exchanges. The galaxy watched as former enemies began requesting joint programs based on the human Astran model. Trade Minister Li Su worked tirelessly to help establish these new partnerships, always emphasizing the principles that had made the original alliance successful. Trust, respect, and mutual benefit, she repeated in countless meetings. These are the foundations of lasting cooperation. Representative Kim Du's influence in the council grew as more species sought Earth's advice on establishing their own cooperation programs. The human capacity for adaptation, combined with their willingness to help others, made them valuable partners in the galactic community. "We never dreamed of this," Han told Rena during a quiet moment between sessions. "We came looking for our place among the stars, and we found a way to help everyone find theirs." As the galactic year drew to a close, the council chambers filled for a historic vote. Inspired by the human Astran success, the galaxy's species would commit to a new era of cooperative development. Trade Minister Li Su's economic projections showed unprecedented growth and development across all participating worlds. "This is just the beginning," Kim Du said in his closing speech to the council. "Together, we can achieve things we never imagined possible alone." Outside the council building, ships from 100 worlds moved through the star-filled sky, carrying the promise of cooperation to every corner of the galaxy. The Human Astran Alliance had done more than save one species. It had shown the galaxy a new way forward. Integration specialist Ryu Mai stood at the observation window of the Astran Human Medical Center, watching children play in the garden below. Human and Astran children moved together in perfect harmony, their games mixing elements from both cultures. Some human children's skin showed subtle patterns of light, while young Astrans demonstrated remarkable physical agility. 5 years, she muttered, making notes on her tablet. 5 years, and we've witnessed changes that should have taken centuries. Dr. Park Jae joined her at the window, his own skin showing faint traces of Astran bioluminescence, a common trait among humans who worked closely with their alien partners. The latest genetic scans show stable integration across both populations. The Astran birth rate has tripled, and human cognitive abilities continue to expand. The medical center had grown from a simple research facility into a sprawling complex that attracted scientists from across the galaxy. In the main laboratory, Professor Moon Bin worked on the final draft of his groundbreaking study on interspecies relations. The key finding, he explained to a group of visiting researchers, is that both species retain their core identities while enhancing each other. Humans are still human. Astrans are still Astran. They've just become better versions of themselves. Ryumi's documentation project had captured thousands of hours of interaction between the species. She reviewed footage of the first tentative meetings, comparing them to the natural cooperation now visible everywhere. "Look at this," she said, showing Dr. Park Jae a holographic recording. Human children naturally speaking in Astran color patterns, while Astran children use human facial expressions. They're creating a new form of communication. The medical center's success had led to the establishment of similar facilities across Earth and Astran space. Dr. Park Jae regularly received reports from these centers, each showing similar patterns of positive development. The most surprising outcome, he noted during a staff meeting, is how the genetic exchange enhanced emotional intelligence in both species. Humans gained the Astran ability to perceive subtle emotional states, while Astrans developed human empathy and adaptability. Professor Moon Bin's study included detailed analysis of these changes. "We're seeing the emergence of what might be called hybrid wisdom, not a mixing of species, but a sharing of strengths." Ryumai spent her days recording the myriad ways this evolution manifested. In the arts, human painters created works that glowed with astran light patterns, while astran musicians composed pieces that captured the depth of human emotion. The children are the most fascinating subjects, she told her colleagues. They don't see differences anymore. They see complementary strengths. The medical center's research wing buzzed with activity as Dr. Park Jae's team made new discoveries almost daily. The genetic library they had compiled became the foundation for treating numerous species' medical conditions. Every successful treatment proves our original hypothesis, he explained. Different species can help each other evolve without losing themselves. Professor Moonbin's study documented unexpected benefits. Human scientific understanding had accelerated dramatically, while astran physical resilience reached new levels. Both species showed increased lifespan and better quality of life. We didn't just save the astran species, Moonbin wrote in his conclusion. We discovered a new path for evolution itself, one based on cooperation rather than competition. In the center's cultural wing, Ryumai organized regular events where both species shared their traditions. These gatherings had evolved from formal exchanges into natural celebrations of their shared future. Watch how they move together, she pointed out during one such event. The humans have adopted astran grace, while the astrans show human spontaneity. Yet each remains distinctly themselves. Dr. Park Jae's latest research focused on the long-term implications of these changes. The genetic benefits are now permanent in both populations, he announced. Future generations will inherit these improvements naturally. The medical center had become more than a research facility. It was a living symbol of successful evolution through cooperation. Visitors from across the galaxy came to study their methods and results. The most important lesson, Professor Moonbin would tell them, is that evolution doesn't have to mean losing what you are. It can mean becoming a better version of yourself through helping others. Ryuma's documentation project grew into a vast archive of this revolutionary period. She captured the moment when the first generation of enhanced children graduated from the center school, their achievements surpassing all expectations. These children represent our future, Dr. Park Jae said during the graduation ceremony. They prove that different species can grow together without growing apart. As the fifth year drew to a close, the three specialists gathered to share their conclusions. Professor Moonbin's study was ready for publication. Dr. Park Jae's medical protocols had been standardized across the galaxy, and Ryuma's documentation provided a detailed record of their journey. We've witnessed more than just genetic and cultural evolution, Ryumai said, looking out at the garden where it all began. We've seen the evolution of possibility itself. The sun set over the medical center, its light reflecting off the silver skin of astrans and the subtle glow of enhanced humans. In the garden, children continued their games, their laughter a testament to the success of their shared evolution. Professor Moonbin smiled as he watched them. This is just the beginning, he said. Imagine what the next 5 years will bring.